Well, good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us in this spirit of perfect harmony. We are the Center for Spiritual Living West Georgia. We study and practice the philosophy and science of the mind we know as God. And with our spiritual presence this morning and our participation in our service, we create a higher state of consciousness, rise above any negative energy we may have experienced this past week, and manifest love. We know love is synonymous to God. Without further ado, I will now, first of all, recognize our music department, Sylvia Hart,
and Connie,
Penny Marshall, and second and most of all, the most important, excellent to outstanding, Reverend Sandra Jackson, our master teacher.
Good morning, everybody. For those of you out there and those of you in here, welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to see everybody. Glad to see that everybody is upstanding. That means that you are here, you are alive. So smile, yay. I am alive today. Okay, so I was just thinking, some people, I don't want to forget to say this, okay? So, because it's not in my notes anywhere, and I'm worried that I am going to forget. But people ask me sometimes to keep me in prayer, or keep my so-and-so in prayer, my friend, my relative, my whatever. In the science of mind, that in the larger world works well. But it occurred to me this morning, we need to say something different in the science of mind. We need to say, please know the truth for me. Know the truth, because in science of mind, God is the truth. So when you say, please know the truth for me, you're saying what? Please remember that I am love. Please remember that my person who is ill is whole, complete, and perfect. Please know for me that all things are well in my world. Do you see? Because that is the truth. But we're going to start, maybe I'll talk more about it now that I've said it. Maybe it'll come up some more later. So let's begin with the way we always do, by beginning with an opening invocation. And so in this moment, we're going to know the truth that in this very moment, all there is God. That God is the Alpha and the Omega. It is the originator. It is the absolute. It is that from which all things come. It is the one and only. It is the only power, the only presence, the only life that is. And so knowing, believing, and understanding that this is the truth upon and the foundation upon which everything manifests and expresses itself, then we are knowing in this very moment that wherever we are, whoever we are, whatever our circumstances or conditions, that the truth of who we are is spirit, is God itself. That we are expressing spirit, we are expressing God in form. And so this day we choose to be the very highest, greatest, and most magnificent expression of the divine that we can possibly be. So knowing that this is the truth of who we are, we begin the service today, communicating, loving, recognizing, and knowing that not only are we expressions of the divine, of spirit, of God, that so too is everyone within the sound of my voice, those of you who are here today, those of you who are around the world, and those of you who are listening to this in a recording at some other time. There is no separation, there is no division, there is only the one. And so it is, and so it is. And our vision and mission, would you please stand for that? Thank you. I forgot to take these out. I thought something sounded kind of funny.
You thought you had a headphone.
Yes, I am. Okay, thanks, Cynthia. Our vision, CSL West Georgia is a joyful global community where everyone belongs. Through our unique spiritual teachings, we provide a safe environment to experience compassionate living. Our declaration of principles. I believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but it is not absorbed by its creation. I believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in all, and that we are all incarnations of the one Spirit. And our song this month is Sacred Love.
All right, you can sing along, okay? You are sacred love. Sacred love is all that you are. Sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. Sing it again. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place, such a holy place. A place like this. You are blessed peace, blessed peace is all that you are. You are blessed peace, blessed peace is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place, such a holy place. Deepest joy is all that you are. You are deepest joy is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, show me the way. I want to live in such a holy place, such a holy place. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, sacred love is all that you are. All right. There we go. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning. Our reading is done by Sandy this morning. Yay.
Thank you, Connie. The microphone and I have issues. Good morning, everybody. Perfect song to lead into Reverend Sandra's, of course, spectacular talk as always. Our reading today is from Ernest Holmes, called From Love and Law. It's an unpublished teachings. The name of it is Some of the Problems of Life, and How We Should View Things. Great lesson. In the first place, we don't have to think of ourselves as philosophers or scientists or teachers or students or as anything but just that which we are. Forget yourself, forget your body, and find your interest in your work and the things which surround you, and you will be healed. Every disease is a result of some inner confusion brought about by some definite selfish mental attitude. No question about it. We must learn to forget ourselves. All of our unhappiness, all of our troubles, all of our so-called trials come because we are selfish and for no other reason. It is always so, without fail, without exception. You will say there is no selfishness on my part, merely because I love somebody else so much and wanted what he had. You are selfish in wanting his good. All the trouble in the world is selfishness. There never is any other trouble. There is a reason why selfishness or self-centeredness produces those things, and it is not a superficial reason. Unity is the basis of all there is. There is but one God, one mind, one spirit, and one power. When I embody myself in my thoughts selfishly, I am separating myself from that which I think would be my good. You may think this is a very subtle thing. It could not be the reason for so much trouble. It is the foundation of most of our troubles. I am unconsciously separating myself from my good. We little understand the subtleness of thought. There is no one who is very far wrong, and all the trouble with any of us is that we are not viewing life from the standpoint of the absolute, from the standpoint of eternity, which does not contradict now, which we call time. If you can get it into your consciousness that there is nothing existing in the universe which you do not know, you will only know that which you want to see. Here I am speaking to you. If you didn't know that I was here speaking to you, as far as you are concerned, I would not be speaking to you. If I did not know that you were sitting there listening to me speak, as far as I am concerned, you would not be sitting here listening to me. I would not know that you are not listening, that then there would not be any of you. Nothing exists beyond the confines of an individual's concept. There is nothing for you that you don't perceive, whether it is good or bad, or heaven or hell. And that is all there is to the story of the absolute. We are as absolute in our nature as God is.
Thank you. Get up here, Connie. Gosh,
Connie's enjoying the reading.
she was taking it in.
Yes, I can.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I wrote a song called It's Totally Possible. And I know we all have big dreams. Big dreams about our center growing and big dreams in our personal life. And this song is an affirmation that it's totally possible. Right, Connie? Totally. The old ways are dying, so let us begin. I got the wrong key, sorry. I'm sorry. I took a week off and I've lost it. I've lost it now. Hold on. We can't sing it in that key, can we, Connie? We can't. That's what happens when you take a week off.
Roll with the drums.
Now I got it. The old ways are dying, so let us begin with power and humility. We're not afraid to say we want it all. It's a world of possibilities. We created this. There's so much we can do. We can take the world apart and put it back together new. And innocence would rule the world. Kindness would be gold. Trust will be our currency. With love beautiful and bold. And it's totally possible to let all our dreams come true. It's totally possible. Our dreams are precious. Will you hold mine? I'll hold yours here in my heart. As our dreams manifest in our reality, let the celebration start. We created this. There's so much we can do. We can dream a million dreams, and they will all come true. And innocence would rule the world. Kindness will be gold. Trust will be our currency. With love beautiful and bold. It's all totally possible to let all our dreams come true. It's totally possible. Moving to abundance from scarcity, from isolation to community. With loving hearts we trust what the universe holds for us. We created this, and there's so much we can do. We can take the world apart and put it back together new. And innocence would rule the world. Kindness would be gold. Trust will be our currency. With love beautiful and bold. And it's totally possible to let all our dreams come true. It's totally possible. Let's do it one more time and everybody sing, okay? It's totally possible to let come true. It's totally possible.
Oh, good morning, and thank you, Cynthia. It is totally possible. Not only our dreams for ourselves, but our world too. Yes.
Absolutely.
So today we are talking, well, this month we're talking about the wonder of relationships. And today we are talking about you and me create society. You and me, we together, we all create society. So as I was thinking about this, I remembered, because Ernest Holmes' teaching is that, we can't be selfish, right? That selfishness leads to, bad stuff. That we want to be inclusive. And that's what that reading is about. It's just like, and earlier this month we talked about, we started out talking about being selfish, right? That we needed to be selfish. There's a degree to which we need to be selfish, because the selfishness is about that. Selfishness has different definitions, okay? This one is about self-love and self-care, and that you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of other people, okay? So when he's talking about selfishness, he's talking about overdoing that. When you care only about yourself and not about others, do you see? And so, anyway, several years ago, in the mid-90s, I was invited by my friend who I used to teach with, and I went into ministry and she continued to teach. And so it's part of the work that we have both begun doing. She got called to do some work at Stanford University in what was called at the time the California International Studies Project. And as part of that, they used to train teachers at the time, it was multicultural education, okay? 90s, remember? Things have changed a lot since then. At any rate, it was multicultural education, and that's what she did, trainings around the state, as part of that project, as well as doing her work as an elementary school teacher. Excuse me. And so she asked me to join her in this project because they had a series of workshops they were going to be doing for teachers coming from all over the state of California, at the University of Santa Barbara, where there was a mathematics teacher who was involved with communications, math and communications, I don't know, but that's how it was. Anyway, he was involved with the California Studies Project, and they asked me and the director of diversity at Stanford University, Tommy Woon, they asked the two of us to come and do workshops for them because they needed some assistance. So Tommy and I, he's Chinese, I'm Black, obviously, and the two of us did these workshops, and we called them Unlearning Prejudice, because at the time, unlearning prejudice was a good idea. All right, so this was like 94, 95, 96, somewhere in there. Anyway, we did these workshops. They were 2 weeks workshops, and they had teachers from all over the state. And I think there were maybe 20 people or so, something like that. Anyway, Tommy and I created a program where we taught people first how to listen and then how to speak. And then we gave them guidelines as to how they were to speak and to listen. And we taught them that listening, most of us, when we listen, this is what happens. I say something, you say something, I say something, you say something. It goes back and forth like that, right? Okay, what is that like? It's like a tennis match, right? Are you listening to this? No, you are waiting to hear what that person says so you can say what you want to say, right? So that we taught everybody, we let them practice that, we let them see how that went. Everybody's familiar with that because that's how conversation generally goes. So we wanted to teach them something new and different. And what we taught them is that they would have we wanted them to do attentive listening. How do you get people to listen and not be thinking about what they want to say? You give them time limits. So for 3 minutes, you are going to listen to this other person speak. Okay, you are not going to interrupt them. You're not going to say things. You're going to give them your full, undivided attention. Why? Because they're going to, in turn, give you 3 minutes of undivided attention. It takes a little practice, but it works. And so we did this with people, and it was much more involved than that. We had lessons and stuff and specific things that we asked them to speak on and whatever. But at the end of the 2 weeks, we would ask them, what was it that you got out of this? And a lot of people said a lot of different things. But the one thing I remember that everybody got is they felt they had been transformed in some area of their life. That some area of their life had been transformed. And this one woman who was a teacher in our school district that we worked in California, in San Jose, she was a teacher, but she was an owning class person in that her family owned a good portion of San Jose. San Jose, before it got all built up, was a lot of farmland, a lot of orchards and stuff like that. And they had the whole lot of orchards and a whole lot of land that they were leasing for like 90 years to various, what do you call those companies that do strip mall things, where they put stores and a whole bunch of stores, strip mall thing. Anyway, they leased that land for 99 years. So she was getting regular money from it, lots and lots of money, to the point that she did not need her teaching salary. And so she would get her checks in those days. She would get checks and she would put them, in a drawer, and she wouldn't cash them because she felt guilty for getting this money. She was taking a job away from somebody else who needed it, and she did not. And she felt so guilty. And she had never, ever admitted that to anybody until she came to our workshop. And she said, now I don't feel guilty anymore. But now I know I can take this money and use it in a way that serves others. That's transformation, people. And it took 2 weeks. And I learned from that, because that's the most jarring, and the one I remember, 25 years later. But here's the thing, I've used it in different settings in different ways over the years. When people have the chance to be truly listened to, when you give them your full, undivided attention, they will say things to you and heal parts of themselves that they did not even know they could heal. Because why? Because we're always going this. And you have to, we had a bunch of rules because we had to create safe space. All right. We started out calling it a sacred space, but you can't call it sacred space with teachers because you got a lot of people so we called it safe space. So we created safe space so that people could say what they wanted to say. We said confidentiality meant you not only did not tell other people's stories, which I just did, but you don't tell other people's stories, but you also don't talk to them about what they talked about. So if I tell you a story about, how I tripped over a log and cut my face and, and I'm really embarrassed and, whatever. I tell you that in confidence. You are not only not going to tell somebody else about it, you're not going to ask me, how did I get that cut? And why did I do that? And what happened before? You're not going to ask me anything about it. You're not going to tell me, give me any advice. You're simply going to listen. And when people simply listen, they heal. Because they start telling you things about themselves, things that they have been wanting to so-called get off their chest. but they've had nobody to listen. And the thing is when you're listening, you're doing what? You're being loving. It's a loving activity to truly listen to somebody. But we don't really truly get that level of sacredness and safety if we don't know that we too are going to have a turn to share. So that's why, it worked to have people go back and forth. And so I've used it in a lot of different places ever since then. But how does that have to do with you and me creating society? Because unity is the basis of all. That's what Ernest Holmes teaches. He says, unity is the basis of all there is. There is but one God, but one mind, one spirit, and but one power. And so when we're learning to listen and speak in that way, what are we doing? We're unifying. We're coming together in oneness. We're allowing each other to touch places in our heart that maybe, no, I'm not going to go there. But at the same time, if we have done any forgiveness work at all, we know what? That we have to do it with people and share with people who are receptive to what it is that we're saying. Be non-judgmental. Here's the thing. That was part of what we taught too. Because what happens when people tell stories? You start thinking and saying, wow, even if you're listening attentively, say, they really did that. That is absolutely awful. How can they possibly do something like that? That is terrible. If we're going on with things like that, you think the other person isn't knowing that? You think they're not picking up on that? You think really that you have in your own mind, you can start judging somebody and they don't know, even if you're listening attentively you think they don't know that you're being judged? Oh, yes, they do. So one of the things we taught people is that people do bad things. They get hurt. They are ashamed. They are embarrassed. And they're going to say things that are ashamed and embarrassing. But guess what? You have those too. We all have them. So it's like, don't be judging them because, you've got yours things to be judged on too. We all do. We all have things that we're ashamed of. We all have things that, we judge ourselves harshly on, right? So when you're listening to someone, you're allowing them just to say what they need to say. And what happens is they get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And they get, this is over time. Remember, we took 2 weeks to do this. We had lots and lots and lots of time of talking. So this was with teachers. Don't you think when they went back to their classrooms, they had a different experience of not only the children, but also the teachers that they were dealing with? Okay, some came back year after year after year. So I want to ask you, most of us, I don't think we're selfish out of a need to be selfish. I think we have a need to be selfish because we're too scared to deal with all the stuff that we're dealing with in the world. I think the world, when we look out at the world, is too overpowering. Don't you look at that, and don't you look at things and go in the world like, there's nothing I can do about that, right? There's fires burning right now. I've been to Yosemite. I've been to Sequoia National Park. Those trees are just, they make me want to cry just to think about them burning. They have lived for over 2,000 years, longer than we can even conceive of. Those trees have been through all kinds of stuff. And yet, at the same time, we are in a place where we're possibly burning them down. And some people think that we have nothing to do with that, that humanity has nothing to do with that. If there's only one, if everything comes from God, then guess what? We do have something to do with that. We're participating in some way. Even if we are just walking around going like, gee, that's too bad. I'm really sorry about that. There's not much I can do. That's participation too. What are you doing? You're withdrawing your energy from that. Instead, we can what? We can know the truth about those trees that I don't know how they're going to survive, but they will survive. So that is a different way of thinking about it, right? There's not only fires burning in California, but they're also burning in Turkey, in Greece, in Italy, in Spain. Did you know there was flooding last week in Virginia? And not only that, there's also this summer flooding in Ecuador, Brazil, Colombia, Cuba, Guatemala, Mexico. They don't even report this stuff because they know what? It's too overwhelming. We'll go like, oh, I just can't stand all of this. And then we turn the TV off, we turn off the radio, we turn off the messages or whatever, the notifications, because I can't deal with all of that. It's just too much. But yet you and me are creating society. So we're in the process of creating all of this. What about the war in Ukraine? Did you know also that Cuba has been going through struggle protests with democracy? They too, we don't hear about that. We hear about Ukraine, but we're not hearing about Cuba. And I'm sure there are other places in the world, right? Right here in the United States, the greatest country in the world. How many times have we heard that? We've heard that, right? All the time. We live in the greatest country in the world. And yet we have problems. We have problems with racism and anti-Semitism. We have problems with sexism. That's what abortion is all about. We have problems with gender equality and poverty and homelessness. Okay? We also are finding that we have a problem with militants wanting to overthrow the government. And we have problems with Christian nationalism. Christian nationalism has gotten to be such a big problem, even the Christians are writing that it's not a good idea. Okay? So we have all these problems, and we feel like, oh my God, I can't do anything about any of these. And so what do? We pull up the blankets and go back over our head and go back to sleep. If we don't do it physically, we do it mentally and emotionally, right? We just like, I'm checking out. And we go deal with going to the grocery store and complaining about the high prices. Okay, or going to the gas station. By the way, Costco has the cheapest gas around if you want it, if you have a card. I paid 74 cents a gallon less for gas the other day at Costco than what it was in my neighborhood. It was worth the trip. And Marsha's going, yeah, it's like, yeah, so if you don't have a Costco card, go get one. This year it's going to be worth it. Sam's Club too has a lot, so anyway, that's just my way of sharing, you guys. All right, so it's, the thing is that if we're creating society, then how are we contributing if we're going, that's too, I can't deal with that, that's too much. We could use this listening technique with our friends and relatives. Take one of them out to lunch and say, look, I'll tell you what, we'll set the timer. I'll talk for 3 minutes, because people need to start with 3 minutes. They don't believe they can go for 25. I know they can. You can go for 40 minutes or an hour talking by yourself. You really can. You think you can't, okay, when you're starting out, but you really, really can. You can go 50 minutes, an hour, and talk only about stuff that's going on for you. Okay? The problem comes in is like, oh my God, I have to listen to you for 50 minutes too? So that's why you start out with 3 minutes, okay? So you start out with 3 minutes and then 3 minutes. And just talk to me about anything that's going on for you. I'll just listen. And I will be present for you. I will give you full, complete, undivided attention. That is very, very effective. Go out to lunch and just do that. Eat your lunch, and then for 3 minutes, go back and forth. 3 minutes, and then you do 3 minutes, they do 3 minutes, and then back and forth. Believe me, they start out telling you, I can't talk about that for 3 minutes. Ask them to talk about inflation, they'll start talking. Okay, or gas prices, or stuff that's on the top, so to speak. Okay, but then We have had a pandemic. Ask them. Give them 5 minutes. You 5 minutes each. How has the pandemic affected you? One of the things that is most, community building is not to give people answers, but to ask them questions. How was the pandemic for you? Are you feeling more isolated than you did before? What have you learned as a result of this? How has your life changed as a result of the pandemic? Those are good opening questions, And so there's what is on the top for you? What is most upsetting to you right now? You may not want to talk about that right away because you want to build a sense of trust first, okay? But don't go with somebody that you don't like. Okay, take somebody that you like, all right? So Werner Erhard, who did S, do you remember S? Anybody know about S? Okay, if you on the West Coast, you definitely know about it. But anyway, he did a bunch of workshops and that people go to for a week, 2 weeks, or whatever. Anyway, he said he believes that a shift in speaking and listening is the essence of transformation. If we desire to create an alternative future, it is only going to happen through a shift in our language. The work is to change the conversation, or more precisely, to have a conversation that we have not had before, one that has the power to create something new in the world. And when you have the kind of conversations I'm talking about, you create something new, because I've had them. And what happens is you start thinking differently, because we're not used to getting the attention. And so when people are really present for you, when they're really paying attention to you, what happens is all that energy turns in and you start really kind of reconstructing and thinking, well, I know that happened like that, but maybe I can see that a little differently. We have the answers to our own problems. Nobody else has them. If we have a problem, if we have an issue, if we have a disease, if we have a misunderstanding, it's our problem. And we have our own answers. Nobody else has. We run around here, we go to all kinds of consultants and therapists and everything, and we have the answers to our own problems. And what we do, if you're going to a good therapist, they are just simply doing a good job of listening and asking you questions that pull out of you the answers that you are needing. Because they're yours. There's only one, right? So if you're seeing a problem, guess what? You're seeing the answer too. Okay? Ernest Holmes says, we can no more have an individual mind than we could have an individual ownership of the principle of mathematics or harmony or beauty. So we don't own any of this stuff. It's all ours to use. So what do we do with this stuff? We are in the process of creating a community. And so I want to show you, there's this organization called Everyday Democracy. They have ideas and tools for community change. And they started like in 1989. And they've been doing projects all over the country ever since then. Guess where they have a project? Decatur, the city of Decatur. And they have a project called Better Together Initiative. Anybody heard of that? Yeah, you out there probably not. But anybody here? No. Okay. So Decatur has, I'll tell you about this story, but I looked on their website today, on the city of Decatur, and then I looked on the Douglasville website. I already know the Roswell one, so I didn't bother to look there. The Decatur one is so user-friendly. It is, you can look at it and see it's community-oriented. You turn it on, it's got there's boxes, and the first box is red, and it says report an issue. In Roswell, you got to go through all this stuff, looking for stuff. Okay? I mean, it's like Douglasville, same thing. They've got, it's like this website is for the community. It's for people to find things easily. And then you open up stuff. And not only that, this initiative, they meet every month. They have a meeting on July 19th and another one August 2nd. That's on the calendar already. Okay, so it says here, community profile of Decatur, Georgia. In Decatur and beyond, it starts with conversation. Hello? Okay. They said, addressing diversity issues in your community can be difficult and complex. Many look to Decatur, Georgia as an example of inclusion, diversity, and citizen engagement. Right down the street here, guys. The city routinely engages many different sectors of the community in addressing challenges ranging from affordable housing to race equity issues to community police relations, going beyond the traditional public comment or public hearing to true and ongoing dialogue with many different sectors of the community. Now, dialogue is about asking questions. It's not just about getting answers, but it's about asking questions and pulling from people what their answers are, okay? It says, it all started with a conversation that has economic, racial, age, gender, and religiously diverse representation, and that is reflective of the composition of the community itself. The model for these conversations came from the Dialogue to Change work of Everyday Democracy, a study circle back in the mid-1990s when there was community conflict regarding affordable housing, the building of a parking deck in a historic neighborhood, and controversial school board issues. So, Everyday Democracy started out in 1989 with this one guy, whose name I didn't know, but the other one is a Unitarian minister who was one of the founders of CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality. And they started out because not only were there issues of racism, but this was when the Cold War was going on too. And so they were looking at peace initiatives and all kinds of different stuff. And this is one of the things that has come on, and they're called Better Together before this last pandemic when everybody was talking about Better Together. So here's the thing. Somebody had an idea. Somebody told that idea to somebody else. Somebody else said, those two people said, let's do something about this. And they started talking. And they started talking, and they started encouraging other people to talk with them. And communities started to build. And they started an organization called Everyday Democracy. What is Everyday Democracy? That is people participating in their communities, in their local communities, because we all have governments. We can't get away from that. We all have governments. We have governments. We've decided to have governments to help people relate to one another. And yet at the same time, we don't. But we have stuff like this. And so here we've got a community who is doing this, but we don't have, that's just an example. We can do this on our own. And the nice thing about Science for Mind, what is that? Is that us? Oh, okay. Huh? Oh, okay. So, but I can keep talking. So, okay, there's a noise. All right. I didn't know it was like stuff falling down outside because they're building out there. It's like, oh, something happened. Okay. So, what does all of this have to do with Science of Mind? Going back to what I said in the very beginning. We teach prayer here, but we teach prayer from the perspective that all is God, that the foundation of everything is God, and that from this foundation, everything comes. It's sort of like the soil, okay? You have soil in your garden, and you got all this dirt, right? That dirt is where all the nutrients are. It's all where everything is going to spring from and come up of. You cannot grow, well, we'll take science out of this, okay? Let's just be back to basics 100 years ago. You cannot grow plants from anything other than that soil, okay? Because it's the foundation. It's where everything comes from. And God is where everything comes from. It's where all the nutrients comes from. So therefore, if God is creative, then we are creative, because God infuses that creativity in all of its expressions. God is love. And so therefore, God, you and I, all of us have the capacity not only to love, but to be loved. You and I, because God is whole, then you and I, each one of us is whole. So why is it that we have the capacity to communicate together? Because we have love that binds us all together. And that is the truth that we always want to be coming from. Think of it this way. If someone says to you something that is unkind and unnatural and unnecessarily kind, what do? How do you respond? I'll make it even with you. Or do you say, you're trying to connect with me. I know that you're trying to be loving. That did not come very loving. But I know you're trying. Well, what if that was how we were to respond when they did that? You know what they would do? You said what? They would not know where to go with that. Try it. Next time somebody does something else to you, just go like, well, I know that didn't sound very loving, but I knew you were trying to say something more loving. Let's see, can I say that for you in a more loving way? How about this? And give them an example of what else they could say. Maybe they don't know what else they could say, you know? I mean, some people are like that. They have had such negative stuff in their life, they don't know how to say loving things anymore. Okay? I mean, some of us were born into families and communities and whatever, where we've got a lot of thrown on us. And so now we come out like this, you know, I'm gonna fight everything around. So suppose you go like, well, I know that you're fighting me, but I know you really wanted to love me and you just didn't know how to say it. Try that. I'll bet, it's like, that's transformation. That's language. That is language. That's how you take something that you feel inside, your loving self inside, and push it out into the world. And that's how you create society. Just think, if you were to start, just do that with the people that you meet today. After church, because it's easy to do it here. It's easy to do with the people that we know. Do it out there in the world. When you go to the grocery store and somebody's like, I just listen to them talking about, oh, the prices are so high. Say, yeah, they really are high, but I know that you have plenty enough money to manage all of that because you're standing here in the grocery store buying stuff. And they'll look at you like, have you lost your ever-loving mind? And you go, yes. Okay, it's like, but try it. You might like it. I think I've heard that somewhere. Ernest Holmes, I think the Love and Law is one of the best books. But when he wrote those? In 1918. Most of those talks are from 1918. You know what's happening in 1918? The end of World War I, but also the Spanish flu was going on. People were dying from that, and he's talking about disease is all in your mind. Hello? Okay, I mean, it's like, you are the cause of your disease. You have the flu, you have this Spanish flu, you may be dying from it, and it's all in your... Don't you realize he was a crackpot? I mean, if people heard that, think about this, okay? Because I say to you now today, all diseases in your mind, and you still go like, I still got the flu from somebody else. Okay? But yeah, we have such a hard time realizing our oneness. And it all goes back to we have to know the truth. So whenever you're dealing with anything, just ask yourself, what is the truth in the situation? Is the truth that somebody beat up on somebody? Or is the truth is somebody was upset, somebody got angry, somebody forgot that they were a loving being, and somebody struck out? I have a friend, I may have told this before, a friend who does workshops in California, and he is a psychologist, and he did work with people in prisons for a long time, okay, as part of his training and learning and whatever. Anyway, he's one of those people who learned that you ask questions. So he would ask questions. So he would ask questions even of murderers, okay? And it would go something like this. Well, what are you here for in jail? In prison, not jail, prison. I'm in prison for, let's say, murder. So what is it that got you here? What happened that got you here? And they would have some excuse about why they were there. Well, what were you trying to get when you murdered that person, or when you robbed that store? What were you trying to get? And he would ask these questions, and each question, whatever they answered, he would say, well, what were you trying to get when you did that? And what were you trying to get when you got that? And what were you trying to get when you did that? And they always came down to, unequivocally, every single time, love. They were trying to get love. And attention is part of loving. When you give people undivided attention, you are giving love in a physical form. Can you imagine a murderer trying to get love? When he told that, it was like, I'm sitting there going like, because I was sitting in the class, right? That is amazing. But at the same time, that is exactly what Science of Mind teaches. That all is love. That all any of us is trying to get is love. That's all we're ever trying to do. And we are either creating a society that's loving, and creating conversations is one way of doing it, or we are participating in whatever the world is doing, blaming, getting revenge, criticizing, and all that other stuff. So we're always a choice. What are we going to know? Are we going to know the truth? Or are we going to know what the world wants us to know? That's our choice. We are either going to live from a spirit-centered place, or we're going to live from a world-centered place. Think about that. Let's turn within. So as we close our eyes and turn within, we go back to that place where we know that all is God. That we come sometimes with ideas of God from various places, from various religions, from various experiences of God. Sometimes we've gotten mad at God. Sometimes we've embraced God and been happy that we are to know God. So from wherever we are coming, let us right here and right now just let go of all that past, all that history, all those beliefs, all those ideas, and just simply know that in this very moment, that God is all there is. It's all the presence, all the power, all the life. It is the foundation. It is the absolute. It is the originator. It is the one power, the one presence, the one life. And it is in this that we live and move and have our being. It is in this life that we live, in this life that we are expressing ourselves. There is nothing external to the life of God. And so no matter what we see in the world, no matter what we experience, that it is always comes down to one truth, and that truth is that God is all, and that God is love, and that God is who and what we are, that there is no separation, no division. There is only the ignorance and misunderstanding of who we are that allows us to in any way be divided from the spirit of life itself. And so I am accepted in knowing in this moment that we know this truth about ourselves. We know this truth not only about ourselves, because that would just be selfish. We know it too about our loved ones, those who are ill, or those who are not feeling well, those who are struggling with finances, those who are grieving for lost loved ones, those who are in any way not at peace. We are knowing that they, in this very moment, the truth of who they are is spirit as well. And so we simply embrace our entire world, those who are fighting fires and those who are displaced by floods. We are knowing here and now that they too are part of God, and that they are in some way or another finding their way through their own conditions so that they may continue to smile and to know the truth of who they are and to experience it. I'm speaking my word and knowing that we are willing to engage in the conversations that allow us to not just touch one another, but truly transform one another with our love, with our joy, with our peace, with our knowingness of the truth of who and what we all are. And so it is with so much gratitude that I turn this word over into the law, knowing that each one of us is experiencing it at the level of our own belief, our own understanding, and yet at the same time we are growing in the wisdom that allows us to be even more than we thought we could be. And our lives are expressing that fullness as a result. And so it is that I now release this word with gratitude. I know it is true, and I know it is done, and so it is.
Yes. I'm on Connie's mic now. Okay, thank you. And the name of my song is "And So It Is." So there we go. So I'm singing about reality creation this morning, and this is a song about viewing your life as a canvas.
We come to say goodnight to you.
Oh, no, that's wrong. Sorry. I am having a hard time today. That was the meditation I was doing last night. Got it. Sherry had this problem, and I thought, girl, you ought to get prepared. Was that a judgment? Yep, that's a judgment, all right. I know, here it is. Yeah, but I got it now. All right. So this song is about viewing your life as an empty canvas. It's all yours to create and to paint. What is unfolding in your future? It's an empty canvas, and you're the artist of your life. What your mind can conceive, and what your heart can believe you can achieve. You can manifest your dreams, and so it is. Light a candle, say a prayer. Tell your dreams to the universe out there. Meditate, visualize, believe. Open your heart and be willing to receive, and you can change reality in accordance to your will and imagination. You create your life, and so it is. Close your eyes to see the future your soul led you to dream of. You create your life, and so it is. You create your life, and so it is. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. So look around your life and see you are the master of your own destiny. You have allowed sorrow and pain, but you can consciously find your joy again. It's co-creation, and so it is. Light a candle, say a prayer. Tell your dreams to the universe and then meditate, visualize, believe. Open your heart and be willing to receive, and you can change reality in accordance to your will and imagination. You create your life, and so it is. Just close your eyes and see the future your soul led you to dream of. You create your life, and so it is. You create your life, and so it is. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you.
And thank you. And so it is.
Thank you.
Okay, this is our time for offering. Our conscious giving affirmation
That would be nice.
is in your program, and it is also up there. Freely I give with a feeling of abundance, knowing that my gift blesses others and myself as well.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I'm so grateful. I am so blessed.
Thank you, Cynthia. And the Thanksgiving affirmation: I am grateful for the divine givingness circulating abundantly through my life, our community, and our world. So we have two guests today.
Wonderful.
Yay! So I met Monica. Well, I didn't really meet her. Ronnie told me your name, Monica. So would you and the gentleman next to you, you guys seem to know each other. You want to stand and introduce yourselves? Hi. Okay. Right next door. Okay. 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 So we're here every Sunday. Okay. 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 Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Well, we're a spiritual community. We call ourselves the Center for Spiritual Living West Georgia. We're a spiritual community that thinks a little differently than most, as you could probably tell. Yeah. 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 Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. All right, that's right. Yep, we believe that right where you are, God is. And so God is in this place, right? Yes. That's right. Okay, and so we have 5 Sundays this month. Did you know that? July 31st is the 5th Sunday. It's the last day of the month. And guess what's happening that day? You get to ask me questions.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Well, it went over so well last time. Everybody's like, oh, we should do that again. And I thought, we could do that every 5th Sunday. So 5th Sunday's coming up, and so we'll do it this time, okay? Write your questions down, okay? I mean, if they're like they were last time, they were easy enough, because they were like, who are you and, why are you here, that kind of thing, and how'd you get started? But if you have questions about the Bible, the Bible is like, if you ask me questions about the Bible, you need to write them down, okay? Okay, because in the science of mind, we believe in the Bible, we use the Bible, but it's mostly the New Testament, because we use the teachings of Jesus and not so much the Old Testament, because the Old Testament, know it or not, is Judaism. Okay, it's the Jewish history. Okay, and so so many times, Bible studies go into the Jewish teachings, and then we call themselves Christians, but Christians come from the teachings of Christ, and Christ is not in the Old Testament. Okay. So Christ is in the New Testament, and the Gospels are about the good news. And the good news is what? That Jesus' teachings is love. Okay?
Right.
All right. So, but as science of mind, that it's just nice if you write those down too. Okay. Okay, you be on time for your work. We don't want to make you late. Drop in anytime though. Okay, thanks for coming. Okay, so in science of mind, I know that pretty well. But if you have something really technical, okay, if you're going to ask me chapter and verse, I may not be able to tell you chapter and verse, but I can tell you the truth about it. I can tell you, I understand it.
That's
okay?
what matters.
Yes, that is what matters. Okay, but anyway. So write it down. That does not mean that you can't, come up with a question that day. All right.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
in 2 weeks. Right, and send it to me. Yeah, ahead of time. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that. Or bring it next Sunday. Yeah, Yeah, you can bring it next Sunday. Yeah, and we have cards, so you can take them and write them down. And if you have something now, you can write it down, leave it. Okay? All right. And so tell us about yesterday, Kathy. Here, come. Come stand. Audience.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Yesterday was actually a fantastic day for us. I think anytime that we take forward to do something for our center, build better for us as a community, one step at a time is always the best thing to do. So yesterday we took our first step. We went to Hunter Park, and we found that it was a beautiful park. It's a sports park. So they had lots of people out there walking, jogging, talking. Well, because I like to engage, I didn't have a problem with that. So I did pass out flyers. I did talk about our church, or center, so to speak, talked about the center and what we do as a spiritual living center, and spoke to a few people and said, we're not a religious-based center, but we are a spiritual center. And that made all the difference. The first person I gave a flyer to, I told her that, and she said, yes, thank you. I'll be glad to take the flyer because that's something that I'm looking for. So with that, when I had that experience, I just simply used that experience to talk about our center, and a lot of people were on board. They understood it. They didn't make a commitment to come, but in prayer, I believe some of the people will come.
Great.
I did, this is the funny part, I did meet a reverend from, I forgot the name of the church, from a church. And he said, well, that's a good message. And he told me about his church. And then he said, well, he probably looked at me and said, oh, she's a lesbian, so I don't have a problem with that. And then he started on to say, hey, I believe in you guys, but I'm not marching in the parade.
Well, let's make that perfectly
Oh, the
clear.
Pride Parade. Okay.
So I said, okay. And then at that point, I just brought him back around to Spiritual Living Center. So I thought that was pretty funny. It's always the unexpected experiences that make it a great experience. So hopefully we'll bring a lot of people in the church. I think that this was a great start, but we need to do more. Not just passing out flyers, but we need to come up as a group to do more with different and better ideas to strategically to move us along and to bring in, the members as well as the finances that we need to hold our center together, because we are one with God, all of us, and it's in our building and it's in us, and we have the willpower and the grace to love each other unconditionally, and we can feel it, and we talk about it all the time as members. So as we move along, we want to make sure that we have that same, I would say, essence about bringing people in, because the essence part of us is love, and love is not judgmental. Love is kind. So yesterday we had a great day. We are re-strategizing, Ronnie and I. And we also need the help of our members to come up with some more awesome ways to raise money. So if you have any suggestions, you're more than welcome to text myself or Ronnie, and then we can talk about it. Deborah brought today that we could have a, what do you call it, Deborah? A multi-family community yard sale. So Deborah, I'm gonna let you talk about that.
Well, no, we're not talking about it yet. It's just an idea.
Yeah, it is an idea. I get ahead of myself
we
sometimes.
We need to talk about it.
Give me that
about
microphone.
that.
No. The mic is good for Kathy.
Okay. Thanks, Kathy. So for you out there, we have these posters, flyers that we made. One of them says, are you looking for a spiritual community where you learn how to think, not what to think, And the other one says, are you looking for a spiritual community where you learn, change your thinking to change your life? So these are the flyers that she was giving out. It has our time for streaming as well. So who knows, maybe somebody out there is streaming today. Is anybody new on there? Not yet.
There's nobody new, but there is an announcement.
Okay. Okay.
It said, Zizi said, join me in gratitude. After 5 to 6 months, my mom is finally going home after a broken hip and elbow.
Yay, all right. See, knowing the truth, knowing the truth, knowing the truth.
So let Zizi know I just read it.
Okay, Zizi, we just read your, so they saw it online, right? Okay, so Zizi, Marsha just read to us about your mother, and I said, knowing the truth is what made it happen. So yes, so we all applauded. Thank you.
Mom is 92.
Letting
and
us
Papa
know that.
John,
Yes, yes.
can she hear me?
Okay, I think
No.
we are, Kathy's got one more announcement, and Ronnie too? Okay. Ronnie, go first. Oh, hey, microphone. Got to come up here, you too. 'Cause you got to remember, we're not just in here, we're out there and in here. Okay?
I'm going to make this quick too. I did put our flyers on my Facebook page, so that's something that you can do as like your main page. And then I agreed to myself daily that I would write something about the center as advertisement. I have over 3,000 followers, so I didn't think that wouldn't hurt.
Oh, God, you got more than me. All right.
Oh, this is just a quick, we have plenty of flyers here, so anyone who wants to take some, if you have places to put them out, or places you've put them out, and you want to, and you want to check to see if they can use more flyers, please take flyers and put them all everywhere that you can put them to let people know that we're here. All right, thanks.
And another announcement is our banner is going up next week, the 22nd. Yes, outside. I was looking out there. They'll probably have to move somebody else's down a little bit. It'll fit. Okay, well, okay. Anyway, our banner's going out and our website is being worked on. Yay! All right.
Progress.
All right. I think we're done.
Well, I have one
You
announcement.
have announcement?
Yes,
Yes.
I will be out of town. I'll be in Los Angeles next week at a metaphysics workshop, and Sherry Henley will be here.
Okay, yay, Sherry.
Okay.
All right, yes. All right, so,
Huh?
Chris, happy birthday! Yeah.
Happy birthday
To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chris. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Yay, all right, thanks, Sandy. Yes. Yay, Chris. Did you put the birthday hat on Zoom?
I should.
Yeah. I know you know how. Okie dokie. Everybody, we are done for today. Thank you so much for being here. We really love having you all be present. Thank you, Monica, and your friend for being here today. And please do come back anytime you are in town.
Please do.
Bring anybody you want. As you see, we have lots of room. Okay, so we say our affirmation, and then we will do the peace song. We go forth today knowing that we are God's blessing in the world. Only good goes from us, and only good comes to us. And so it is. And so it is.
I'm waiting now. Come on, guys. Here we go. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow to take each moment, live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me.
So Cynthia, last Sunday, Connie led us in the peace song.
Yeah, yeah.